Phillies and Jellicles, welcome back to part 3 of Crusaders of the Lost Mock. Let's begin again. AJ sat by the front door like she always did after a hard day's work. Little Apple Bloom was late. She would never admit it, but scolding at Little Apple Bloom was the part of the fun of looking after the little fool. Well, fun was the wrong word. She loved her little sister with all her heart, and safe as Equestria and Ponyville in particular was, she didn't like not knowing whether her little sister was hale and hearty or not. But it was now getting very late. Apple Bloom was often off with her friends, but never usually quite this tardy. Applejack stood up. "Consarn it, sis! Where are you? I bet you're around Twilight's again," she muttered to herself. She collected her hat and left at a dead run, calling to Big Mac not to wait up. The strong, silent stallion just nodded and gave his customary yup. Applejack was out of breath when she clattered up to the library and hammered on the door. She was looking left and right as she did, trying to spy a little yellow pony with a big red bow, and failed to notice Twilight easing open the top half of the door, when AJ's hooves met far less resistance than she expected. She stopped and gave an apologetic grin as Twilight shook her head until her eyes were no longer crossed. "Applejack, what's up? It is little Apple Bloom. The scamp's not here come home? I was wondering if you'd seen her today." Twilight thought for a moment. "I can't say that I have, AJ. Do you want me to come to help look?" "That would be right kind of you, Twi. Maybe she's been in Rarity's place." The pair headed to ask Rarity, but no, the unicorn hadn't seen either Apple Bloom nor Sweetie Belle. The flustered mare offered to wait at home and in case of any of the three showed up. Rainbow Dash hadn't seen Scootaloo either, and since she was looking more than a little flustered about being caught with Rarity trying on dresses, Twilight and AJ left them to do it. "Maybe they're terrorizing poor Fluttershy's chickens again," suggested Twilight. "Strikes me as right, likely, Twilight," agreed AJ, as they hooved into Fluttershy's cottage. "The Kunima Crusaders are missing?" asked Fluttershy, gasping in shock. "Oh no, how terrible! Angel Bunny, have you seen them?" The rabbit tapped his foot, thinking for a second, and then shook his head, pointing out the door. "I think he said no. We should go look elsewhere." "What's that way, Applejack?" asked Twilight, setting along the left pine paw. "Why, that's tarnation. I'm dumb. Their clubhouse. Come on." Twilight, Applejack, and Fluttershy, quite out of breath now, apart from Fluttershy, who seemed more than content to drift along from a few feet off the ground, held aloft by her wings, headed out towards Sweet Apple Acres, and then the Crusaders' clubhouse. As the trio headed one way, and the large, unfamiliar armored shape came towards them, heading the other way, calling, little ponies, please to be coming back now." "Smithy," said Applejack, "what in Sam hell are you wearing?" Smithy stopped short stood almost sheepishly in what had to be the heaviest, meanest-looking, nearly black armor she had ever seen on a pony. It covered almost every inch of him in rivets, straps, loop chain, and sheet metal, right down to the hawk guards. If he didn't look so embarrassed, he would have looked terrifying. "Miss Applejack, I'm sorry I'm being caught in a battle attire. I was playing a game with little ponies." "A game? Wearing that?" asked Applejack suspiciously. "Da, we're showing little Crusaders about being soldier. I'm being made honorary Crusader, so I'm helping them. But now can find little ponies. Have tried at Crusading tree house, no ponies. What heading to farmhouse?" "They're not the clubhouse?" asked Applejack, with a worried expression on her muzzle. "Yet, and they's taking armor." "You made them armor?" asked Twilight, raising her ears and staring at the strange blacksmith. He looked like a soldier himself in such a get-up. He had to be. No pony had armor like that for fun. She was missing something. Wait. You said you were teaching them how to be soldiers? What would you were wearing armor. Where'd you get it? I've never seen armor like that. And just who and what are you?" Smithy looked crestfallen and slightly guilty. "I'm not having time to speak of such things. I just know I'm only blacksmith. Old, tired, stupid blacksmith who indulged little girls, including my crusading playtime with armor that I'm making. Arming is missing. Girls is missing. We have problem, I mean, yes." said Twilight. Oh no, oh horse apples, you didn't go and tell them stories about wild animals, none, did you? Maybe 10 little stories to little ponies. Oh my stars, the Everfree forest, let's move! At the edge of the clearing, Applejack stopped and turned into Smithy. Aren't you coming? Smithy first as if to follow, wavering a moment between two directions. Eventually he lowered his head and waved a shooting hoof at her. Go, I'm doing enough already. We'll be in way of younger ponies, and can only slow down search. I'll be staying behind case little ponies are returning. Applejack's expression darkened as she considered his abandoning the chase, but time was of the essence. Fine. You and I are going to have a talk later, though. Count on it. She galloped away, leaving a sad old blacksmith behind. Applejack had been right. Really realized Twilight. They found tracks that led into the forest from the outskirts of Smithy's camp. Hurrying along, the path had at first been tinged with worry, but once the undergrowth grew wild enough, the spoor was gone, and triumph was rapidly being replaced with despair. Now the Cutie Mark Crusaders were lost. So were the rescuers. Smithy lay like a lump of discarded scrap in the grass next to the CMC house. He would only make things worse, he reasoned with himself, thoughts loud and gruff. He had done the right thing by turning around. He was convinced, certain his path has been set, but why did a part of his mind whisper and call him a traitor and turncoat? The strange noise didn't yet register fully over his warring feelings. The foreign part of his mind was incessantly recounting his past feelings and betrayed him for as much as dragging out the gear he wasn't fit to wear ever again, letting alone putting it on. The latter part quietly insisted that those little folds were his responsibility, and that if he were a real soldier, he would do his duty. The former stated matter-of-factly that he simply wasn't one anymore. The latter that he had started the game, he should be prepared to finish it. And both sides now wished to know what was that odd and mildly annoying noise was. Smithy looked up and cocked his head, unsure of what he was looking at. Granny Smith was making her way across the grass in the direction of the forest. She was wearing a saucepan on her head like a helmet, and had a look about her like she was going into war. She would bring her walker forward slowly, and bringing down a kawaf, and then catch up with it using her weak, shuffling hind legs. Shuffle, shuffle, barely lifting her hooves on the ground. Miss Granny Smith, he ventured tentatively. Where are you going? She didn't even turn her head. I'm going off to save my grandkids. What are you doing there? Just sitting there like an old pile of dirt. Shake a leg. Smithy reflexively tried to rise, but his legs would not listen to him. He slumped back down in a clatter of steel and chain. I'm no good anymore. I am too old and tired now. This phrase only made Granny's head swivel in his direction, an angry expression on her face. When her eyes fell upon Smithy, her expression softened to neutrality as she gazed upon him, appraising. Ah, I see it now. You think you're old, broken down, warhorse, don't you? Ah, and you lost a battle, son. Something. Lose battle, lose job, lose Cutie Mark, lose everything. Smithy laid his head back into the grass and stared off at nothing. Guess there's nothing for it but to lay down and die, huh? Granny sniffed dismissively and turned back in the direction she had been going, and continuing making her slow, painful way towards certain danger regardless. The slow steps started again. Smithy raised his head again in disbelief. Why would you go? Can barely lift hoof off ground. They're my kin. But you're not afraid of danger or getting in way of making things worse? Nope. Smithy felt a strange kind of indignant heat start to smolder in his gut. He rose up and part ways, feeling slightly perturbed. But you're old, infirm. Granny Smith stopped and stared at the old armored blacksmith. I may be old, yeah, great. Great lump, I ain't dead." The heat of her words took him aback. He tried to stammer out something, but she continued berating him. "What, you think you lost your cutie mark because you stopped being young? What? What do you mean?" he said, unable to quite meet her gaze. "A grown-up styling like you ain't figured it out yet?" His eyes betrayed only a total lack of comprehension. Granny Smith spoke plainly. "I've been around a while, and I've seen it happen before. Some stallions and mares, they get older and can't do what they felt they were born to do. It happens. They feel that they can't handle their talents, can't be themselves, and their mark goes away. Heard a dog give it a fancy name once. Broken mark syndrome, or some such. Then please to be telling me, how do you keeping yours?" "Well, I've kept mine 'cause I learned the most important thing about a cutie mark a long while ago, and that is, it just shows on the outside on what you are on the inside." "So," Smithy craned his neck to take another look at Granny Smith's mark, and then back to her. "Mark means you're made of pie? This is not making any sense." Granny gave him an equally confused look for a moment before she realized that she was much joking as he was confused, and tried to change tack. "Look, a mark shows up when the best part of you finally shines through. It's just showing you what you already decided in your heart that you want to be doing the most of. I just want to be spending my days giving comfort to my family. I happen to be good at cooking up food for my loved ones, so I guess an apple pie was at a pretty good mark to show it. Nothing says comfort like the smell of fresh apple pie, but that don't mean all I did was make pie for the rest of my days. But all I want to be in life is soldier. Always wanted to be leader and protector. They tell me I'm being too old now. But that ain't the point. What is point? I cannot be telling what I feel. I must be deep down in heart. I cannot leave brave ponies to battle to protect homeland. I cannot be soldier without being soldier. Oh, gosh, Sergeant." Frustrated, she yanked the pot off her head and tossed it to the ground with both hooves. She used one hoof to yank him by the armor up to eye level and met him for gaze. "Your cutie mark ain't what you do, is who you are. You didn't lose because you ain't doing the job anymore. You lost because you stopped being you. Stop moping around and remember where inside ya that feeling came from in the first place." He reached back into the fog of his mind, trying to recall to feel what Granny Smith was referring to. At first there was nothing but confusion and past regrets. Then he saw a glimmer of recognition, like finely polished armor. It was kindled by thoughts of enthusiasm. The trio of fillies had scolded them when they were trying to find their own place. The joy echoed down the far corners of his mind and reflected back on something. All at once the memories came rushing back to him. The old memories of townsfolk cheering, vows to his old family, and finally to his country. All the training, the feeling of accomplishment where he was inducted into the junior guard, his first commission, and finally the words of his first commanding officer. We are not swords to oppress, we are shields to protect. Your mark embodies this. You are the protector before you are a warrior." Like the warm summer rain, understanding poured over him, and something heavy that had lain in his heart was washed away. He found himself on all four hooves, standing tall and slack-jawed, with the sudden revelation. "I remember you being right all this time." Smithy's mind had wandered back to his younger days, when he too had just been a foal. He had become a soldier the day that he got his cutie mark, long before he joined the army. The decision, the drive, the passion, these things had placed that mark upon his hide, not some uniform applied to a salute. Pride made me think that not part of action, not doing things soldiers do, am useless. I am not useless. I am soldier inside, still wish to protect the one I am caring for. Armor, rank, none of these make me wish to use strength to defend ponies, is what I was born for it. He smiled wildly at Granny Smith, who was grinning back at him. "You can see me the truth of myself, Miss Granny Smith. Please to be waiting here in case they are coming back. I will be going in your place. Must hurry." Now that sounds like a right proper soldier. But first I'm going to tell something I must be picking up just in case of trouble. And we'll continue this in part 4.